serious with the, oh, here we do a hail swath. Let's do that. Okay, so this is where the hail is right here. And this is going to be crossing over the next 20 minutes or so over Interstate 40. And so we're talking about baseball-sized hail. Can you imagine baseball-sized hail hitting Interstate 40 where cars are there? And it's, what's the wind? The wind potential is 60 miles an hour, right, on this tornado warning, I believe?
Correct.
Yeah, we'll look that up if you could. And then the hail swath. This is the history of what the radar is doing on where this storm has been dumping just lots of hail. Look at that. I mean, my goodness, this is like 2 to 3 inch hail that has been crossing right over that stretch just to the south of Moriarty. So I imagine there's some damage in these areas, even though it's not in the heart of Moriarty. Boy, it's pretty close. Look at that. Gee whiz. And this has been the path the severe storm has been taking. It's over that less populated area there. And you know what? The way I'm looking at this, I'm not sure that it's really going to be crossing over the interstate in the time frame that it's saying. I think there's more of an eastward component with a northward drift to it. So this could come together and scoot toward the Klein's Corner area, but we'll continue to watch it and we'll get an idea of what's going on. But yeah, this is just one nasty storm. I mean, when you look at that hail swath, my goodness gracious, look at that. That is really something. Let's look at velocities to see if it's tightening up. Well, no, okay. So for the dangerous twisting winds that spawn a tornado, Olga was just telling us that a wall cloud was rotating. And now that wall cloud, according to radar, is rotating less. So there's less of a component now of it spawning a tornado like in the next minute or so. But boy, every bit that it certainly could as it develops. I mean, if that thing tightens up again, it could actually spin a tornado. And the more it goes to the east, the more it goes into an unstable air mass where it could blossom again in intensity. In fact, if this is a supercell, it could... because the component is it wants to go east, and as it goes east, it's going to go into a more unstable environment. So this could be one of those cells if it holds together that wow, could be with us for a while. But let's go ahead and see what we got here. Wow, the hail's still big. Wow, look at that. This is just a nasty storm at the start of a long holiday weekend. Anything on the chat room, Olga?
No, nothing has changed. They do say, we just got an update here. What does it say? 242.
Okay, they dropped the tornado. Oh, no, they did. Well,
So the tornado
let's stop
watch.
this thing here. Let's stop this thing.
Still moving east about 15 miles per hour. And it's until 3:15. So they have not changed the duration of the warning. We now have a flash flood warning, Bernalillo and Torrance counties, and that's until 4:30. And the watches remain up for the duration of the evening, so we're going to be in for this for several hours.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely are. So I'm going to step away from this and give you another big picture over here. Let me go ahead and clear this. Tornado warning in effect in that area to the south and to the east of the Moriarty region, and it looks like there's some implications on the I-40 corridor if this holds together. And you know what I wish we had? I'd have to go back to the other thing to show you the big. Why don't you go ahead and show them the
the big
tornado
radar
watch in general and talk about that?
Sure. Let's go back to the big picture, as we call it. For right now, though, we still have much of the area covered in that tornado watch area, meaning that the conditions are ripe for the formation of tornadoes. We know we have the unstable air already. We're beginning to see the showers and storms begin to pop. And as Joe said, as these cells track eastward, they will be entering that more favorable air, allowing for the possibility for some of that formation. Again, we're going to keep our tornado warning up for that greater area just south of I-40 until about 3:15 this afternoon. But as time goes on, more areas are going to have the opportunity for this kind of action. We've already been seeing the warned areas for the flooding, large amounts of rain, short period of time, terrain relatively dry, not parched by any reason or drought by any measure, but still, that much rain in a short period of time is going to be problematic with some runoff and some flooding potential, even flash flooding potential as well. The thunder and lightning, always a concern, even if the tornado is not specifically over your location. There's still some severe components here that could do some damage to your property, to your landscape, to your trees, fallen branches down power lines. There's the potential for all of that moving forward as these cells continue to pass. Overall, though, it's going to be a very rocky evening, seeing some heavier, steadier rain now toward the southern regions, and we'll continue to watch those as they move up toward the north and the east, entering that moist air as well. The big picture on radar, although we're focusing on the tornado issues around the Moriarty area, we still have some pretty healthy storm cells forming up toward the north and the east, particularly moving north of Santa Fe, thunder, lightning, and heavy downpours moving through the Taos and Raton areas. And as we mentioned before, the severe outlook going forward into the afternoon and the evening hours is going to focus on the eastern half of the state, where we're seeing most of the enhanced risk down toward the south and the east, but all of that region really could see some pretty stormy weather going forward. In all these energy, we call it CAPE, giving that potential energy for those storms to feed off of, will be with us not only through the afternoon, but into the evening hours as well. The problem areas could even see some thunderstorms as late as 10, even midnight tonight. As we move into our weekend forecast, though, the focus is still there for part of the region to have the opportunity to see this kind of action. But in all, I think what we need to focus on right now is the here and now, and we do have some very rocky situations to contend with.
Yeah, here's what we're looking at. If you're just joining us, we're following an active tornado warning, and this is over in the Estancia Valley. Let's give you the latest updates on it. Wow, look at this. We got another one forming up around Torreon, and that one has hail over an inch as estimated on radar. So I suspect this will be going under a severe thunderstorm warning shortly as well. As we look at the latest that we have, well, you know, we had the hail size at 2.75. Now, the radar is suggesting that the hail size is coming down to 2-inch hail, but that's still just a very, very dangerous storm. As far as the dangerous twisting winds, well, it looks like there is still some broad rotation. When you see the red, those are winds going away from the Albuquerque radar, and the green, those are winds going toward the Albuquerque radar. It was really fired up where it was really tightly wound up. In fact, let's go ahead and show you as we go back 45 minutes, has that, wow, look at that. This is, so here you have it. This was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This was a severe thunderstorm warning. And then look at how we had the situation. Oh, there you have it right here. We can go ahead and indicate it. And there was a big broad rotation where you see the overall reds bumping against the greens, and we had reporters on the ground, spotters on the ground saying it looked like there was a rotating wall cloud, and therefore tornado warning was issued. That means it could spawn a tornado with very little notice, and so that went right over the road that passes between Moriarty on into Estancia, and we'll advance it to current time. See, there's still some tight rotation over there. That's 238, and now it looks like it's trying to pulse up again. It really does. It's located right here in this area. Let me go ahead and check the velocities on that, see how strong the winds are. Okay, inbound, outbound. Okay, so it looks if you add that all together, let me put this on here. Okay, so that's a broad rotation now. Okay, well, anyway.
Well, more updates coming in here. They're saying now this one's not confirmed, but a spotter report says that there's a semi that is flipped over on the highway. It doesn't say which highway. I guess it's going to be I-40. But this is about 15 miles west-northwest of Yeso. Yeso.
Yeah, that's over in the east central part of the state, yeah. Boy, look at that big hail core. It looks like it's paralleling Interstate 40 and inching ever so closely to Interstate 40, unfortunately, during a time when people are developing the getaway for the long holiday weekend. Now, that's a lot of stuff I have on the screen right now, so let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit. there's the particular storm. Here's the tornado warning in effect until 3:15. You can see it's in this less populated area, but we're really concerned about that I-40 corridor. So if the danger with the hail is all in, well, I drew that too broad, but the danger with the hail and the potentially damaging winds is all in this area right here, all right? But in just a short period of time, it's edging ever so closely to that area near Interstate 40 during a time when we're having a lot of people on the big getaway for the holiday. So yeah, that's a very dangerous storm. There's the reflectivity. I'm going to go back to this area over here, and let's just kind of walk you through it. Okay, a tornado warning is in effect till 3:15. As we advance it, you can see that we have a tornado watch. It's not often that we get tornado watches here in New Mexico, but we do get them, and this is the time of year. And again, I say this is a big getaway in your holiday weekend. And the thing I want to bring up is we have this tornado warning in effect. And what's going to happen is that the more we get into the evening, we're going to see these thunderstorms erupting along that I-40 corridor, spreading down to Roswell. This would be later, perhaps in the afternoon on into the evening, then pushing forward to Tucumcari, Clovis, on into Hobbs, and maybe around the Carlsbad area. So this is in effect till what, 10 o'clock, I think?
This one goes till 10, correct?
Yeah, okay. So until 10 o'clock, a tornado watch is in effect. Now, this will come and it will go, and then the following day, there's going to be another eruption of storms, probably more across the eastern third of New Mexico, probably not as dynamic of an atmosphere that's conducive to twisting storms, but it's going to be a severe weather event, I think, again, along the eastern third of New Mexico. What else do you have in this? I'm stealing the show you had up there, and you have a lot of good information in here. But yeah, that's the overall situation. We have a tornado warning, and of course we have to be very diligent to give you the most up-to-date information on this. And oh wow, it looks like it's weakening. Let's check that out. But you know, I get excited if I see it weakening. But the problem is that it can pulse up again because the more it goes to the east, it goes into that unstable environment. It could pulse up again. I mean, this could be one of those supercells that just goes on for a while. But what we really want is for you to take shelter. And so let's figure out where that is. Let's go ahead and look at velocities. This shows you the dangerous twisting winds. It looks like it's more of a broad rotation right now. We can go ahead and look at the hail path. Okay, it's not picking up. Oh yeah, and this is the Albuquerque radar. And the further we get away from there, the further it's going to be that we get good data. But we'll stick with it while we can. So yeah, there's the tornado warning in effect until 3:15 this afternoon. And we're coming up on 2:54 in the afternoon. And let me see if we got any more guidance on it. Okay, let's just go ahead and read that information. It looks like new data came in. Well, the hail size is coming down according to this, but it's still dangerous. I mean, 1.5 inch hail, what is that, $half size hail? So we went from baseball size hail as estimated on radar to 1.5 inch size hail. The probability of hail, 100%. So I know this direction of the storm has it going right over Interstate 40, but there's more of that eastward component. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to continue to work east with a very dangerous hail and nudge it up toward I-40. Let me get the arrows off so we can get a better look.
So it has the potential to reach I-40 before Klein's Corner.
Yeah, it has the potential to do that. It started, if we look at the path of the hail swath, the darker shades, it's got more of an easterly component than a northeast component. Don't you think?
Yeah, it looks like that for now.
Yeah, but wow, when it continues to go into that unstable environment, that's where you're really concerned. You know, I saw this a lot last night when I was, well, last couple of nights really. I mean, these storms, you know, they pulse, and then they weaken, and then they reform, and they pulse up again, and they explode. I mean, we're watching it over in Tucumcari yesterday, and it looked like they had a big storm that worked just to the east of Tucumcari. Let me get a bigger view here so we can see what's going on elsewhere. Yeah, over in Tucumcari, they had a big system plow to the east of Tucumcari, 2-inch hail just to the northeast of Tucumcari. Then it looks like they're out of the woods, and then the storm collapsing to the north of them formed just to the northwest of them. They had baseball-sized hail that rolled over. Okay, so we do have the storm watch on. We don't have any other severe storms across the area. All we have right now is a tornado warning, and if you're just joining us, we also have a tornado watch in effect throughout much of the eastern part of New Mexico until 10 o'clock tonight. So these storms are going to develop. They're going to work in an easterly direction. There's going to be pulses where there'll be big hail thrown down, big drenching rains thrown down, and some tornadoes that will twist and spawn to the ground, the potential for that. And the reason it's a tornado watch and not a severe thunderstorm watch is simply because there is a disturbance working over this very unstable air mass that can put a lot of twisting in the atmosphere, and that can carry it down to the surface. So the Storm Prediction Center, they decided, no, let's not go with the severe thunderstorm watch, let's go with the tornado watch. And here it is, coming up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have an active tornado warning in play, and we're seeing it weaken in intensity, but it's could pulse up, and that's a big, huge concern. And we'll look at the area right now, put this back on. It's still 1.5 inch hail is what it's suggesting. The hail core is coming down.
We're showing a view right now, a live view from our crew in the a still picture from the Moriarty area. You can see the clouds building, the shelf building there. A little something down toward the surface area as well.
Yeah, it looks like that's like a wall cloud kind of hanging down from the downdraft side of the cell, and I guess a storm reporter saw that rotating for a time, and yeah, you got to take shelter. So, wow, look at this. Look at this. Look at these other storms. 1-inch hail projected there, 1-inch hail projected there, 1.5 inch hail. Tornado warning until 3:15, and we'll go back over the past 45 minutes. Look at that. There's an ebb and flow to that whole thing. It's like, here's a disturbance coming up on Torreon, another one working toward Moriarty, and now you got the eastward component. I think one good thing to look at is what's been the history of the hail with this, and we'll stop it, and it'll give you a good reflection of how these storms are pulsing. So here we are at 2:14. It was under a severe thunderstorm warning. You see the purple? That's hail. We'll go ahead and dance it through. We'll step through just a little bit more here. Wow, look at that. Can you imagine that big hail going to the south of Moriarty? Wow, that was a good one. Now you see that little white indication. This is predicting the dangerous twisting winds in the cloud that come down to the surface. You see that little circular rotation over there? That's right. Look at that. Look at that. That's when that showed up, that is when the National Weather Service issued that tornado warning. And that was issued at 2:25, 3:15 is how it goes. So let's continue to track this. Oh, look at that. Still has some pretty good shear at 3:32, and then the rain component to this, a flash flood warning from Moriarty to the southwest with 1 to almost 3 inches of rain. So that's a flash flood warning. How long is that flash flood warning in effect?
This one goes until about, let's see what it says, until 4:30.
Okay. Which is typical for a flash flood warning. They're always longer than severe thunderstorm warnings because it's more of a long-term component with it. Okay, so there's 3:34. We know what we're looking at right now. Yeah, still pulsing up with, you see that white? That's particularly twisting winds in the storm that could drop down to the surface. We remain under, yeah, look at that. We have big hail and rotating cloud potential there that could spawn a tornado. So that's 2:45. That's 2:47. And now the spinning in the cloud isn't as much being picked up on radar, but the hail is still very big. There's 3:01, and that's live right there. So let's see if the new scan has come through. This particular storm, 1.5 inch hail potential, 1 potential. Okay, so the Torreon storm, it's not severe yet, but you treat it as such because it's a dangerous storm. And this is going to be, anyway, there's going to be a lot of severe storms the deeper we get into the afternoon, into the evening. And look at the history of this storm here. Let's just look at the hail history that it was being picked up on radar. Look at this number down here. It
From
says,
2 inch down to 1.5, you could
yeah,
call that an
so this
improvement.
is 224, it's 2 inch, right? And that's when it had spin in the atmosphere. 2 inches hail, 2:30 in the afternoon, 225, 275. My goodness gracious. And coming down. We're not saying it's an all clear by any stretch. We're just giving you the track of the storm and explaining to you that this storm is absolutely pulsed up in intensity. It's come down some in intensity, and we're seeing less rotation with the cloud, but that doesn't mean, oh, look at this. It's tightening up again. Let's go look at that. Let's go check that out with some, let's stop this. Zoom in. I want you to do some addition for me, Olga. So take 37 and add it to, oh, come on, I don't want, okay, so it's got a wind shear of 67 miles an hour. So if there is a broad rotation back in the cloud, it's in this general area. And so let's see what that general area is. That's that desolate area to the south and east of Moriarty. Yeah, so it's a bad storm, but yeah, it's tracking more in an easterly component than a northerly component, which makes sense when you look at the upper level wind flow.
Yeah, it's well south of I-40 for now.
Yeah. I mean, the algorithms in this radar program want to bring it into I-40, but I mean, the Weather Service is even adjusting for this. It looks like, yeah, look, the Weather Service is adjusted on their tornado track. Look at this. They are agreeing that it's got some easterly component. Did they say the latest path on the tornado warning update on what the direction is?
Yeah, they're still, let's see,
still
this
going
was at
northeast or is it east, northeast?
258. They still had the path north-northeast.
Maybe right here.
Let's see what it says here. Tornado warning for southern Santa Fe County is canceled. Tornado watch remains in effect until 10 p.m.
But does it say the direction of it now? Because they just did an update on their polygon. See, at 255, the polygon went way north of I-40.
Yeah, it says 9 miles east of McIntosh,
Sounds right.
11 miles southeast of Moriarty, but it's tracking east at about 15 miles per
Okay,
hour.
well, see, when we went on the air, it was going northeast, and we're really concerned that it would be riding up over the area around Interstate 40 between Moriarty and Klein's Corners. But when we're looking at it, we're looking at that hail swath, and it's going in an easterly direction. And I was mentioned to you, it looks like instead of a northeast component, it looked like an east-northeast component. And so when the tornado warning came out, the Weather Service was saying northeast at 17. Now they're saying due east. Is that what you're reading over there?
Yes, due east at about 15 miles per hour currently.
Okay, well, we'll go with that then. Let's go ahead and do that kind of tracking. And if you've been with us, we kind of noticed it had this eastward component more than a northeast component. So that takes some of Interstate 40 out of the question. So this is tornado warning in effect until 3:15. You see this red box. That's called a polygon. The National Weather Service issues a polygon, and they say even though the storm is like right here, it can go left, it can go right, it can, So anyway, you're looking at the storm, you're thinking it's there, but it broadens it out to these areas, and that's called the polygon, and that is the area of concern. And as you look right now, the polygon is in an area that's not very populated, but the northern extent of it is going to I-40. By contrast, let me take that off there. Let me get the reflectivity back on so you have something to look at. By contrast, if we go back just a little, okay, if we go back to see the difference in the polygon, 257 to 259? They're taking some of that I-40 component out, that's the latest one, because of the eastward component rather than the, oh, look at that. That's how broad the polygon was at 242. It goes a little bit more to the east, so they draw it a little bit more that way, and now they're looking, it's got more of an eastward component to it. And so let's go ahead and track it. It says it's going at what, 15 miles an hour?
Current is 15, as of 2:58, 15 mile per hour track toward the east.
All right, let's go ahead and track that and see what we come up with. Let me get these arrows off. These arrows are a computer algorithm, and they're not really all that definite on the direction that the storm is going to be passing. But I just want to track it at 15 miles an hour, you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just take it over here, and we'll go due east 15 miles. Okay, well, nothing comes up on the storm tracker, and the reason nothing comes up is because we just have some roads over there and not so much the populated areas. So let's get this off. Okay. You know what I'm going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do that little, hold on a second. You go ahead and talk. I want to
Okay.
set up something over here.
Well, right now they are saying, at least the National Weather Service is still looking at the tornado warning continuing, but they want to clarify that this was all because of a tornado, a radar indicated tornado, and as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, there has still been no observed tornado. However, they are continuing to monitor that and checking for any damage. I've been looking at the storm reports maps within the National Weather Service. So far, nothing coming in right now. However, that will change, I think, as the storm passes and folks get an opportunity to reach out to the Weather Service and communicate any damage they may have to their property, to their dwelling, to their trees or landscape. But with the storm moving through and the winds still fairly healthy with the storm, we'll continue to see the opportunity for some damage within the area. Again, the best option is to stay put. Whenever you have a tornado warning, an active warning in your area, it's best to make sure that you are somewhere safe, indoors. Interior is most desirable, and also away from windows and glass. Also, if you have a multiple story dwelling, it's best to be on the lower level of that structure as well, just in case we have this more development of a tornado touching down and rolling through.
Okay, Olga, what I want to show you, you can see that big hail core, right? Mm-hmm. And the radar had it 2.75 when it was south of Moriarty. Last I checked, it's indicating a downward trend, 1.75. So that's down an inch in hail, but that's still a very dangerous storm, and people are on the highway. So let's go with that due east component. We have a new little tool in our toolbox here. So it's going 15 miles an hour, right? Mm-hmm. So here's that road that people use all the time to get to Klein's Corner, right? This is 285. This is Interstate 40. Let me go ahead and mark it here. This is 285. Not so good. Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Okay, anyway, so that's 285. So this is 285, and the other is 40. Let's go ahead and mark it. 285, right here. And this is Interstate 40, obviously. So this new tool that just came out is kind of nice. So we know it's going 15 miles an hour. So let's say you want to avoid that. Well, it's 350. This hail core, if it stays on its eastward component, you know, there's no guarantee it will. It could go north, it could go south, but if it stays on its eastward component, it could be around Klein's Corner and 285 around 3:50 in the afternoon. So that is one thing you're going to want to, wow, you really got to be cognizant of it on a breakaway weekend like we're on.
Yeah, a lot of folks are moving around, and also for those who are passing through as well, at a bit of a vulnerable risk for running into this kind of rocky weather.
Well, we're coming up on 3:15, and they're keeping with the. Are they putting any kind of verbiage on whether they're going to cancel the tornado warning or
Well,
anything?
just in at 3:11, they're going to extend the warning for the north central and northeast portions of the county for an additional 45 minutes. So we're already within, for 3:15, so that's...
They're gonna go to 4 then,
4
huh?
o'clock.
Yeah, well, I guess they're going until 4 o'clock because there's still that broad rotation that you're getting. See, the couplet keeps coming and going, you know? And so rather than downgrade it to a severe thunderstorm warning, they're probably just going to keep with the tornado warning, especially being a holiday weekend. I mean, you need to get the word out to people that this is, we're in a very volatile time with so many people on the road. So 41 miles an hour, yeah, okay, so more than 60 mile an hour shear in this broad circulation. Yeah, okay.
Another area mentioned here is Angel Fire. Apparently, there's a storm cell moving through that region, which could be producing some hail at this time. Oh, there it is.
We've got a lot of storms throughout this area. And
All right, here we go. It's official. Extended until 4 p.m.
all right, if you're just joined us, that tornado warning was extended. It was set to go until 3:15. What does it talk about the hail core and the direction and all that?
Right now it's saying, so we'll scroll down a little bit.
While you're looking at that, we could show you how the polygon has changed. Let me go ahead and stop this. So before with the National Weather Service, we had this, let me get that arrow out of there. Okay, that was the polygon we're dealing with, and the reason we're dealing with it is because it's taken more of an eastward component path rather than a northeast component. When the tornado warning was issued, it was in the northeast path because that's the direction it was going at the time when it was in that proximity between Moriarty and Estancia, and you can see how it puts part of that polygon right over Interstate 40. Then we noticed that there's more of an eastward component than a northward component. And right around 3 o'clock, the National Weather Service shrunk the polygon a little bit, not to include much in the I-40 section. And now it's a brand new polygon. And notice how they bring up Klein's Corners on into it, because are you going to trust the eastward component and think that that's all there is to it? Now, are they still going east at 15 miles an hour?
Yeah, actually, they have increased the eastward speed. They say that as of the issuance of the warning, it was 10 miles southwest of Klein's Corner, so it is moving east about 20 miles per hour. Now, they're still keeping the hail potential up to 2 inches.
All right, so it's going with the 20 miles an hour, right? Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and see how long it would take to get to the south of Klein's Corner. Yeah, right around, what's it saying, 340. What was it saying last time? It was saying 350 before. Yeah, okay. So now it's saying 340.
Little.
So that's something that travelers, when they're, Klein's Corners, that's a big intersection between 285 and I-40. That's where people go to gas. That's where they go to shop at the curio shop at the gas station and grab a little snack as well.
We now have an MDOT view from Klein's Corners, which we're trying to show you right here. And what exactly location? Klein's Corners at MDOT at I-40.
Yeah, it looks like we're looking at Klein's Corner there, and it looks like they got just rain on the road is the way it looks to me.
So definitely on the northern edge of that cell.
Oh, look, it's got that, we saw it tighten it up in that velocity, and our Right, yeah, yeah, okay, well, we can talk about that. That was a good call by the National Weather Service to extend it. Oh, look at there, there's another little shear marker coming up over here. So let's bring you up to date and show you what we got here. So, you know, this is the tornado warning. We're going to go over that. I want to talk about, you're getting a little bit of shear indicated here. Yeah, look at that. Let's see if it indicates on our map. It doesn't indicate shear potential, but we can just do that by hand if you want to. So here's a storm, and it's around Estancia. So there's no warning on it yet, but folks in Estancia, take shelter from this storm because there's some hail with it, and it looks like there's the very good potential that there could be a rotating wall cloud, and it's not under any kind of warning yet, but boy, that did pop up in intensity. 48 plus, well, look at that. What would that be? 40, 80, 88, something like that. Yeah, so just be prepared. That could go severe too. But let's look at the Weather Service here. I'm going to take the shear marker off for a time. Okay, see how when you have the red up against the green right here, this is when it was pulsing down in intensity. So it's not that bright, but when you got the red up against the green, that means you have inflow and outflow. Like you got wind going away from it in the red from the radar in Albuquerque, and the green is going toward it. So when you got the green right next to the red, that's telling the Doppler radar that there's rotation in the cloud, and that you see that rotation weakening. So as we step through that, look how these turn brighter and tighter.
Yeah.
Look at that. I mean, this was at 3:15, and the rotation was just getting brighter, and this was showing, okay, 60, 70 mile per hour potential. So, yeah, that's a good call by the Weather Service to keep the tornado warning going. And again, we don't have any reports of a tornado. All we have is a pulsating severe storm with very large hail, drenching rains with it, and it's heading to that 285 area to the south of Klein's Corners. But Klein's Corner is in the tornado warning. It's in effect until 4 o'clock. You can see that we have other, why is it not going out? There it goes. Let me put this in motion. Let me get the arrows off so you can get a clearer path there. So, yes, there is a big cluster of showers and thunderstorms from Estancia and areas, another one developing southeast of Moriarty, but the active tornado warning is the one with the brightest reflectivity, and that's over in this area. And let's look at the hail. The hail, wow, the hail core is getting bigger as well. It's pulsing up again, Olga.
Yeah, back to 2-inch hail. Yeah, I'm still monitoring the storm damage. So far, no reports coming in.
One thing I like about the radar algorithm now is it's finally picked up on that eastward component rather than the northeast component, and that makes a little bit more sense to leave that on right now because it's finally picked up with the real world. But it's not picking up on the shear as of yet, probably because it's under 70 miles an hour. I think when it gets over 70, it starts throwing down those shear markers. But you know, we see it pulsing up, and that is the shear marker that does pulse up. And when it pulses up like that, yeah, you got to be concerned that it could rotate and spin down a tornado. Tornado warning in effect until 4 o'clock. We see the 2-inch hail size potential. This tornado warning went into effect earlier this afternoon. It's been extended. It was set to expire at 3:15. It's been extended till 4. If you're wondering what's going to take to get it to Klein's Corners, let's kind of go ahead and show you that. We're I don't mean to say Klein's Corners. I mean to say in the area where Klein's Corners is. Right now it's on a path to go south of Klein's Corner. Let me take the arrow off. Let me put this on. To get to that point would be about 2:49. So if your travels are taking you there, and you just can't go, oh, it's going to go south to Klein's Corners. It could ebb up to Klein's Corners. It could ebb southward, but around 2:49, and it does go till 4. So I tell you what, we could get till 4, and they might just extend it. This is looking to me, Olga, like one of those supercells, and I've seen them before. I've seen them go north of Interstate 40 and just hug all the way to the Texas state line, and they just keep reissuing. And I'm not saying this is going to be a tornado warning that's going to just track eastward for the next hour or so, but I'm just hours or so. But I've seen it where you have these supercells, and when they start going in that easterly trajectory, they just stay severe. They just stay supercell until they're not. And the thing is, this is going in an easterly direction into a more unstable environment. And what we're going to see, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to see, I'm going to go on the composite radar. I guess my auto insurance has expired. But, I mean, you're thinking, well, there's just one tornado in New Mexico, but that's really not the concern that we have on a bigger picture. We have a tornado watch. It's very rare that we get tornado watches, but it's in effect, and this is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. We have one active tornado warning that we've been updating you on since 3:20 this afternoon. In the Santa Fe area, you're under it, but let's go ahead and look and just see what's happening in your area right now. Okay, so there's nothing severe out here. That storm in Angel Fire is now pulling away, but boy, I guess you have a lot of thunder and lightning to get inside, right? Oh, okay. Well, it's coming down in lightning intensity, but it's interesting. In all of New Mexico, we have one warning, and it's a tornado warning, but we have a bigger issue, which is the watch, and the watch is in effect until 10 o'clock tonight, but that encompasses Santa Fe on into Las Vegas, Tucumcari. Man, they've been ravaged over the past couple days. Santa Rosa, Clovis, Roswell, down into Hobbs and Carlsbad. And if you look at the track of this storm, as we go back to the storm tracker, if you look at the track of this storm, it's going east, and it's starting to pulse up in intensity again. And the thing is, as we get more deep into the afternoon, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, what we're going to see a blossoming. We're going to see a blossoming of storms all along this area. Oh, I got the wrong thing. We're going to see storms blossoming here. We're going to see storms blossoming here and continuing to the south. So I just don't want to get people caught off guard.
And speaking of Santa Rosa, we're trying to get you some video, this time-lapse video showing that storm development pushing into the area from the west to the east.
Okay, keep talking. I'm going to look for a for a future track.
Looks like definitely those darkening clouds, a little bit of lowering there. I thought I saw a little flash in the time-lapse there. So thunder, lightning, gusty winds, all of the expected players are available as this storm cell pushes off toward the east. Again, we told you this is tracking right now about 20 miles per hour as it leaves the Klein's Corner area, or south of the Klein's Corner area, and continues moving off toward the east. And that's going to keep this region under that tornado warning at least until 4 o'clock. Again, as you mentioned, Joe, if the cell holds and remains that robust, that could continue to be extended even beyond 4 o'clock. But for right now, that's the expectation.
Severe thunderstorm warning.
So this... And this one is for Torrance County. We have another
okay, the one we were just looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the one near Estancia. Mm-hmm. It's not in the system yet, but it's coming. But it's this one right here.
And it's interesting that it's following the same pathway that the current tornado warned.
Well, this is not a surprise to the folks at Estancia, because we saw it pulsing up in intensity, and we saw the shear break it up. What is the direction, and what's the hail size?
This one is moving east at 20 miles per hour, so similar. We're looking at some wind gusts already clocked at 70 miles per hour, and so far ping pong size hail. So that's
another dangerous
close to an
storm,
inch and a half.
Okay, the spinning of the atmosphere is coming down a tad. But, wow, the hail core is really pulsing up. ping pong size hail. Yeah, that looks really good as well. And so, yeah, it's right on the door for you folks in Estancia. 70-mile-per-hour wind. So, yeah, this is a time you just get inside a sturdy building. You don't want to be outside scrambling around trying to shore your outdoor furniture and that sort of thing, because it's just too late for that. You got to be safe. You got to go inside. You got to get inside a sturdy building. Get away from the windows and just ride this thing out. We'll stop it and take some ideas on about what the current size of the hail could be. Well, this one's estimating 2.25 inches of hail.
Wow.
It's kind of far away from the radar, but Weather Service is going with ping pong size hail, but we're not gonna mess with that. We're gonna just say this is a big storm, and wait a second. Let me do it this way.
Well, that drives home the need to stay
Oh, look at this. It's picking up shear
shelters.
now.
Yeah, red and green again.
Yeah, it's picking up shell. So, okay, it's picking up a wind shear of 80 miles an hour. That means there could be some rotation in the cloud as well, which is kind of what we saw before. And so anyway, it's saying hail size of that. So it has a northeast component, which is wrong. So let's just do it this way.
Now you're looking at the cloud cover and the storms moving in near Klein's Corner. This is to the southwest of that intersection that we were telling you about between I-40 and 258.
Okay, on that new severe thunderstorm warning, it's in the western edge of Estancia right now, and it's going to be right on the heart of Estancia in 5 minutes. So please take the shelter from this storm. It's severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:30. And let's go look at our active tornado warning here. Let's clear the screen.
Flash flood warning now.
Where's this one?
This one is heavy rain, 1.5 to 3 inches of rain already, and this is covering, let's see, Bernalillo and Torrance counties.
Is that an update to the one they have already, or is it just not in my system yet?
It looks different.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and look at future track because I just brought it over. So this is the latest HER high-resolution forecast model, and here's a depiction of what it thinks things should have been looking like at 3:30, and I guess that's pretty good. But let's just look at it not for exactly where these cells are. I want to show you the blossoming and the concern that we have for folks in eastern New Mexico for this evening. Take it with a grain of salt where these cells are. It's just a forecast model. It comes out every hour, so it's not going to be precise, but it will show you something about timing. So it's here's what it's was projecting around 3:30, so that's pretty good. That could be your Estancia storm. But this, I just want to show you how, as we get deeper into the evening, how things are going to blossom. So look at this. We're coming up at 4 o'clock right now. And look out toward Tucumcari and Santa Rosa. I'm going to advance it to 5 o'clock. See that? Yeah, those are more storms starting to erupt in that area. Let's go to 6 o'clock this evening. Look at this. I mean, Clovis, they've been nailed 2 nights in a row. Tucumcari, they've been nailed a couple nights in a row as well. And they could be in for another long night. And these cells are popping during a time of severe thunderstorm, I should say, tornado watch across much of the east central part of New Mexico. There's 7 o'clock. That cell you see around Santa Rosa, that could be our storm that we're looking at near Klein's Corners that could still be a supercell at that time. We're off and on supercell. And there's 8 o'clock. Here's 9 o'clock. Here's 10 o'clock. And there's still going to be some overnight activity there as well. So I just wanted to show you that even though we have 1 tornado warning on the ground now, that would be there, and a severe thunderstorm warning. I guess we have to advance it, huh? Okay, so we have 1 tornado warning, and it's to the southwest of Klein's Corners right now. A new severe thunderstorm warning, that's in Estancia. Folks, you need to take shelter right now. Large hail is over your house right now, so stay inside, get away from the windows. And add to that, let me advance it. a tornado watch in effect across much of east central and southeast New Mexico. Again, there's that active severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30 and the tornado warning until 4 o'clock. And I think, Olga, as we looked at that future track model, we saw something along that I-40 corridor all this evening. That could be one of those things where it goes back to a severe thunderstorm warning, and then maybe it drops for a little bit and then reignites into a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. That could be the case with that particular supercell through the evening. So, yeah, you really have to be diligent. I guess we should put a plug in for our phones. There's going to be a lot of people that should really download the KOAT app and set it to alert, set it to follow you, because there will be some severe weather as we get into the front part of the holiday weekend over eastern parts of New Mexico. Anything new on chat?
Yeah, they're just actually saying that, as you were mentioning, that they're expecting more storms to erupt further to the east as we go through the next couple of hours. Like you mentioned, these cells are slamming into that unstable air mass east of us, and that's going to continue the concern for these strong storms, gusty winds, and potential tornado.
Okay, if you just, oh, look at this. Oh, well, no, I don't like this tracking, so I'm not going to do this tracking. Let me see if it's still got that eastward component. Yeah, it's still got the eastward component. The algorithm's back to showing storms to the northeast, but when you look at the reflectivity on radar, you look at the hail swath, everything's east, right? And by the way, look at that hail swath. That's dangerous stuff. I mean, that is really dangerous stuff. And in fact, we should look at the hail swath over Estancia. That's the history of where it's been. So the radar's been picking up that there's been large hail approaching the southwest of Estancia, large hail just to the south of Moriarty, going over that the rural area there, pasture land. And the reflectivity shows you the storms start off going northeast, and then they got into the upper level wind flow. Now they're going due east. Mm-hmm. And let me put on the shear markers. Okay, let's look at the shear markers. So we'll stop it. And there is some shear being picked up on the Estancia cell. That's moving to the east. So, yeah, just hunker down, Estancia, folks in Estancia. And, you know, this is the big, in the Estancia Valley, this road network here, that's how you get in and out of it. So there's a lot of travel here on a Friday night on birthing into the long Memorial Day weekend. And we still have the dangerous twisting winds that could spawn a tornado any time in the areas around Klein's Corner as well. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the hail core again. It's still very big. It's estimating that it's what? Ramping back up, hail size of 2. I'm not going to buy into that northeast automatic component that it's showing me. I'm going to go ahead and track it east at 20 miles an hour. I'll do it from the actual hail core. I think that would be better. Take the shear marker off for now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still going with 3:50 in the afternoon. So 3:50 in the afternoon. Again, don't get us. It could bow up and impact the Klein Corner area. But the path right now is 3:50 in the afternoon. It's going to be on that well-traveled area around 285. And if it starts at any kind of easterly component, which kind of we saw in Future Track, that it had an east, and then later in Future Track, it had a little bit of an east-northeast component to it. So that's why the National Weather Service painted that polygon with that I-40 component in it. You can see it's not having any kind of east-northeast component with it right now. Mm-hmm. As we look at the hail core, you can kind of see it's due east. We could look at the reflectivity, and we can kind of see it's pretty due east as well.
If we have a moment, Joe, we want to send it over to Doug. He has live some firsthand information from the Las Vegas fire chief.
All right, guys, thank you. Right now we are joined by Las Vegas Fire Chief Stephen Spann. Stephen, can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, sir, I sure can.
Thank you for being here. First of all, obviously we don't have eyes right there on Las Vegas right now, but tell us what you are seeing, what you're experiencing right now.
Currently, right now in the city of Las Vegas, there's no precipitation. We are surrounded by clouds all around town, but Fortunately, nothing's hit the town itself yet, but we do have our crews out keeping an eye open and making sure that we're protecting the citizens properly.
You are on the northern edge of that tornado warning that, again, is in effect right now for the next 24 minutes there for the better part of central New Mexico and, of course, San Miguel County down south over the Estancia Valley, et cetera. Do you talk about the crews and the resources you have available? You guys were already stretched thin with with the fire situation, the burn scar, and the flooding you've had. Talk about who you have out in the field and what they are ready, willing, and able to do.
Currently, well, as always, my crews are willing to do whatever it takes to help our people. Right now, I do have 2 stations that are patrolling the city that are composed of 2 engine crews, as well as the contracted ambulance service, and the San Miguel County Fire Department will be assisting as well.
You talked about right now there's some cloud and there's some wind. So have you experienced anything which you would call severe? Again, the tornado warning is in effect that includes you until 4 p.m. But what is exactly that you are seeing that sent you to dispatch those crews?
Just the warning notification that we got from the National Weather Service, just have the guys keep an eye out and always be prepared.
Now, we know it's a little bit early to talk about, shelters and such, but I imagine you guys still have some in place from the fire situation, the flooding, and the burn scar concerns. Is that correct?
Yes, they still have those in place, and those can be activated by our OEM at any time.
Now, just for the folks that aren't familiar, OEM is what?
OEM is the Office of Emergency Management.
And that is staffed with?
That is staffed with our emergency manager, and I believe he has 3 staff under them, as well as the fire and police departments as well that fall under him.
Joe and Olga have been on the air here for the better part of an hour plus right now. Talk about the information and the data that you rely on in which dispatching crews and making your residents aware of what could be coming down the pike for them.
For a situation like this, we depend on watching our local news forecast as well as the National Weather Service. And we also keep in touch with our emergency manager as well as our city and county managers.
Okay, Stephen, let's talk sheer numbers. What numbers of crew? I know you talked about trucks, et cetera, but talk about personnel. How much do you have available right now? And do you call folks
Right now at this moment, I have myself, my captain, and then I have 6 personnel on for the entire city for fire department-wise, as well as we can call in off-duty personnel. We got the City of Las Vegas Police Department, which I believe they probably have about 5 to 8 people on right now. And then San Miguel County Sheriff, State Police, and San Miguel County Fire Department.
All right, Stephen, we appreciate the information. We thank you for being ready, willing, and able to help the residents there for this very serious weather situation. Again, a tornado warning in effect until 4 p.m., and as Joe and Olga have been talking about, a very serious situation there was a lot of concern about it getting to the I-40 situation, but of course it does change minute by minute. Of course, as Joe's been talking numerous times, there are people who are getting ready to go out and celebrate the Memorial Day holiday weekend. A lot of people are traveling east, and a lot of people will be traveling through this severe weather. So, of course, they have to be very, very concerned. They have to be watching what's transpiring weather-wise. And, of course, tune in to Action 7 News with Olga and Joe, et cetera, warning people minute by minute and second by second what is, in fact, heading their way or potentially heading their way. Again, the tornado warning in effect until 4 p.m. Originally, it was 3:15, but just minutes, maybe a minute or two before the expiration of 3:15, it was in fact extended until 4 p.m. So right now, all the situation, all the precautions you need to take, you need to do that until at least 4 p.m. And as Joe's been saying, take shelter. You should be relying on what's on your phone. You should not be looking out the window. You should not be standing outside engaging what the weather situation is. You should be maybe having a ham radio on or having your phone on or the TV on, but not sitting next to it, because you should be in the centermost room away from the outside, the exterior parts of that house. That is the most secure and the most safe part of your house, and that's where everybody in your home should be right now. You're right.
Areas in the Clients Corner region. Basically, what we've been watching is ever since 3:20 in the afternoon, we've been tracking this storm. It started off in around Torreon, and I remember looking at this when I was coming in. I go, wow, that pulsed up quickly. It was showing like it had half-inch hail at the time. But as it went to the north and then got hooked up in those upper-level winds and went to the east, it's really become a supercell. We've seen these pictures coming in from our viewers showing us how this In fact, we'll go back a couple of hours, but I think this is going to be a storm that we're going to be tracking for a while, and I think it's going to be erupting into additional storms that will tag on, and I think the I-40 corridor out to east central New Mexico, on into the southeastern parts of the state are in for it as we get on into the evening hours. So here's how it looked at 141. It was a severe storm, and it was headed right toward Moriarty. As it advanced, it moved just to the south of Moriarty, and when you see these little circles coming up, that's when it showed there was rotation in the cloud. We do have some storm trackers, some storm chasers who actually saw rotation in these cells, and the Weather Service, they went ahead and issued a tornado warning. We have not seen any kind of tornado as of yet. We've seen funnel clouds, we've seen rotating wall clouds, we have another severe thunderstorm warning that Olga's going to update us on. Let me know when you got the information on that, Olga.
That's right. They say we have a severe thunderstorm. This is 8 miles northwest of Del City. This one's moving at about 10 miles per hour, but it does have those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There is some hail associated with it. They're estimating right now about a $50 size hail. But this is going to be quite a damaging situation moving forward. And also, over the last 2 minutes, the Sunport has issued an airport weather warning. We have some gusty winds that could affect folks who are traveling out of town today or waiting for some of their folks to travel in town today. We do have that weather warning for the airport until about 10 o'clock tonight with those continued hefty wind gusts.
Okay, for that severe storm in Otero County, it's we're not going to really concentrate on that one all that much because it's nowhere. It's in no man's land, but it's dangerous. So if you're hiking in that area, a lot of people might be. I don't know. I've never spent much time down there. I've never been west of Queen. I've been east of Queen, but it's got the big hail potential. It's showing you all the stuff on radar that shows you that it could be a severe storm with large hail and very strong damaging winds. Let's take another tour around the state, see if we see anything that looks threatening. No, it looks like it's all over here in the Estancia Valley on into areas around Klein's Corner. So if you've been with us, we'll go back to the history of this particular storm. So there it was in Moriarty. Boy, it was a nasty storm there. It had baseball-sized hail potential. Large hail was hitting the area. The biggest hail core passed just to the south of Moriarty, and now it's gone on. It started in that northeast fashion, and now it's simply going due east. And the more it goes due east, the more it stays away from Interstate 40. And let me go ahead and shorten this loop. Okay, so it's inching closer to that area around 285, which is the pathway to Interstate 40 for all those folks who live in Vaughn and Pastura and Corona and areas in southeast New Mexico and West Texas. If they take a path to I-40, it's often 285, and that'll take you right into Klein's Corner, or the I-40 corridor, and it's a big travel weekend, as you know. So we'll time it out. Go ahead, Olga.
I said, mentioning this is a good segue into back to Doug for a look at the New Mexico Department of Transportation. This is evidently affecting folks who are out and about today.
Okay, joining us right now on the phone is Travis Martinez with the New Mexico Department of Transportation in District 4, which of course includes the Las Vegas area. Travis, first of all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What situations are you seeing out your neck of the woods, and how severe is the situation right now on your local roads and your highways?
Okay, so anything on Interstate 40, around Tucumcari all the way to San Juan, which is the Texas border, we're seeing in the past 2 days, obviously, some excessive rainfall, which has produced some hail. The excessive rainfall is causing flash flooding, and actually the water is going over the roadway system. So this is even for Interstate 40 between Tucumcari and San Juan. We have seen water go over the roadway. Department staff is out there monitoring the road, making sure that we're letting people know of the situation at hand. But we have a lot of secondary routes, New Mexico 469 that takes you to Raglan, New Mexico 129 that takes you to 104. These smaller roads, the structures that are on these roads cannot handle the volume of water that's coming down. So as the structures start to get too much water, the water's going to go over the road. people are going to see flooding and standing water on the roadway systems.
Of course, you talk about when water goes over the road. We all know how serious that is and the precautions that we talk about each and every time when we see that kind of flooding. You need to remind people, when you see water over the road, turn around. You think you may know that road. You may think, I've traveled this thing dozens of times, maybe hundreds of times every year, but every situation is different, and you cannot go through, and you should not go through, water that's crossing a roadway.
Exactly. Anytime that a roadway is flooded, you don't know what debris is flowing in this channel of water that's overtaken the road. And it just takes, I think it's something like 6 inches of moisture of water crossing a road that can take a vehicle down the way. You want to turn around, you just stick to that old saying is turn around, don't drown, wait for water levels to go down, or seek an alternate route. We never advise anybody to try and drive through flooded waters. It's just too unsafe for the motorist.
Do you know of a lot of reported accidents? We did report a little while ago, Olga saw, I think it was one of the spotter chatters, that there was possibly a flipped semi. Can you confirm that, or have you heard that story?
It hasn't been within our district, within the areas that I'm responsible for. We have not had any reports. Normally our NM road systems, we get phone calls channeled through us. They let us know of the situation, but we have not had anything reported as of yet.
Okay, what about accidents? I know you haven't had that flip semi, but what about accidents in your area?
In the past, we've been fortunate this year so far, but I know last year here in the Las Vegas area, down on the I-40 corridor at times, you can see when we do have these weather systems, severe weather systems that produce hail, even the small pea-sized hail, it's going to cause issues for drivers. It's going to produce a slick road. You're going to lose control of your vehicle if you're going too fast, and you can actually slide off the road. We have had those instances here in the northeast part of the state and east part of the state through San Juan, all through not only interstates but also the New Mexico routes. So even though it's hailing and it may not be very big, you may not think that it's a threat, but it comes down so fast at times that you start to slide, just like when you're driving through the winter and you hit a sheet of ice.
You talk about the shock when the hail's on the ground. I talk also about the shock about when you're driving and you think it's not all that big, and then you hear that just bang, 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 bang on your windshield, on your roof. It's scary behind the wheel.
It is, and it's, we tell a lot of people, if you have to travel, stay up to date to local weather. If you know that you're going to drive through a severe weather storm, you want to slow down. Like you said, you start hearing something, it's just like your vehicle, something's wrong. Start slowing down, pull over, let it pass, assess the situation to make sure that you and your family is safe as you're driving down the road. All
right, Travis Martinez with the New Mexico Department of Transportation, thank you for that potentially life-saving information. We do appreciate it. Now we're going to go back to Chief Meteorologist Joe Diaz with an update on the situation there in Torrance County. Joe.
Yeah, what we're seeing here, Doug, is, wow, the hail spike has really come up to the south of Klein's Corners. This thing has a history of coming down in intensity and then picking up in intensity. Right now, the latest radar is showing you the potential of 2-inch hail. It still stays on that easterly component, and so that big corridor that's between I-285 south of Klein's Corners, it's still, I guess the good thing is it's still on that eastward path, and it's no hint of a northeast component to it yet. And I just want to show you that it looks like the Weather Service is buying into that eastward component as well, the way they are adapting their polygon. If we show you the polygon now, let's go just back up just a little bit. And Olga, while I'm doing this, can you see if there's another update? Because sometimes when they update the polygon, they update the verbiage with it. Okay, so at 3:40 this afternoon, look how this area was included around the I-40 corridor, this area right here. So notice how when we look at the latest polygon shape from the National Weather Service, it's come down a little bit. You see how it was pointy up here? And now it's less pointy, excuse my terminology.
Yeah, and they have changed the speed, the tracking speed. Still moving east, though, down to 15 miles per hour.
15 miles an hour. Okay, thanks for that. We'll plug that one in. And we'll track it out. I'll just look at the hail core. That's the big thing that we're dealing with right now. Not to say it couldn't pulse up again and rotate again and drop down a tornado. So let's look at that, and let's look at the latest. All right, 2-inch hail potential right around 4 o'clock on that 285 corridor. So let's give some proximity on how confident we are right now on that eastward component versus east-northeast component. Wow, look at that, Olga. It's due east, isn't it?
Yeah, still on the same path. We now have a new flood watch as well.
Yeah, what do we got?
Eastern San Miguel County, Harding, Roosevelt County.
Well, that's a flood watch?
Yes.
Okay, that's because of the drenching rain.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I had my show up. I could bring you all those little, do you have the, well, I could just bring them over. Can we go full screen while I load this up a little bit more? I need to pull some stuff into the weather computer, and we can show you the watches and stuff. Well, I guess I can do it here too, but. Okay, well, anyway, we'll do the best we can. So yes, there is that overall storm action. It's hovering to the south. If you're wondering about the populated areas, we'll zoom in and we'll show you.
Wow.
What do you see?
I'm trying to get a bead on where they have these flood watches popping in.
Oh, I tell
They're
you,
anticipating that.
I'll show you where they have the flood watches. In fact, I know what you're talking about right now, Olga. They've been drenched with rain. They've been over this area over here. Mm-hmm. Brand new flood watch going up, and it just makes total sense that they're doing it. I'm going to have to add flood watch capacity to this right here. So flood and go up watch. That's not displaying for some reason. Anyway, I'll show you why there is a flood watch. It's over in this area over here. Where's the northern end of it? It's okay. So here's the flood watch, and here's the reason why. Accumulation, 24-hour rain. Well, yeah, anyway, the data is old. I guess it's not coming through. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. But yeah, there's a flood watch, and if we can get off of this at some point, I could bring in all those graphics, and I could show you the flood watch. But yeah, for some reason, it's not displaying on my computer right now. All right, we'll just give everybody one going over. Here's the big component right here. A tornado watch that's in effect until 10 p.m. You want to talk about that a little, Olga?
Yeah, we have a fairly large area, basically the eastern half of the state, with the exception of that just northern tier. With the showers and storms moving through, some of these storms will become very heavy and intense, severe level, as we've already seen with our severe thunderstorm warnings and already our tornado warning pushing on through. But the general watch will be up till about 10 o'clock tonight. We're still going to have these conditions after about 6 and 7 o'clock this evening. As the sun sets, this becomes even more problematic as you have some of the severe weather moving through during the darkest hours.
And we have Ron Burke with us, and he's got an interview from Santa Rosa. Ron.
Hey, Joe, you guys have been tracking this eastward for a while now. We're on the phone with Santa Rosa Fire Chief Jeff Chavez. Chief, thanks for joining us. Can you first tell us what you're experiencing right now? What's the situation there in Santa Rosa?
Right now, we're just getting just real cloudy. There's nothing going on other than the clouds. So, and that's it. There's no rain right now going on. There's nothing going on right now. Just lots of clouds.
So, in terms of your preparedness, what are you expecting? What do you anticipate? And what do you expect to be encountering here in the next, maybe even the next hour or so?
Well, for us, we're getting ready with shelter in place here. With we got our firefighters here at the fire station, along with the other firefighters up at the second station. So we're ready for any power outage, and we're just telling the people to stay in their homes. You know, they don't need to be out until we know that we can get through this. This is our big weekend for the WIBIT here at Santa Rosa Park Lake, so we're making sure that people are aware about that, and making sure that everybody's safe, and because we've had plenty of power outages here, so we just got to make sure people are aware of that, have their battery-powered radios, flashlights, and just stuff like that.
All right, so we want people to know to be prepared with their gear, their equipment, and just be inside the home where it's safe. Don't go out, Chief, I assume, unless you absolutely positively have to. And I guess your advice then would be to get back home as soon as you can if you do have to go out.
Yeah, we advised them over our local radio. We let our people know just to, don't go out if you don't have to be out,
In terms of personnel, what do you have on standby in preparation right now? You mentioned that you had crews out.
Yeah, I have right now. I have five actually with myself. I have five firefighters standing here at the fire station. We're a volunteer fire department, but I do have I have 5 guys here in the main station, and I have 4 up on the hill at our second fire station. And that's for a quick response, just in case anything happens.
And what kinds of circumstances do you expect you'll have to be prepared for? What kinds of things could happen in the way of fires themselves or flooding or things like that?
No, actually, for us, it's mostly flooding. We have there's quite a bit of roads that do have dips in them, and that's where the water collects. And we try and keep the people from getting into those flooded areas. And that's in the past we've had water rescues.
And again,
because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's what our main thing is mostly is the flooding.
And going back to the top of our conversation, Chief, in terms of what you see in the air right now in the sky, in your environment, you see nothing that poses an immediate danger or threat to you.
Not right now. Not right now. No.
Historically,
not right now. Where I'm seeing right out the window, I can't. There's nothing that I could see of any danger right now.
Historically, maybe even in recent years, what have you had to deal with in regards to tornado warnings and the like?
Well, in the past, like I say, we make sure the people are aware. We broadcast it on radio and let the people know. You don't be out. Especially around the arroyos, and there's little villages outside of Santa Rosa where there's a lot of dips in the road. So we try and keep the people off of those roads. Because in the past we've had people get in their cars, try and cross over, and they get in trouble like that.
All right, Fire Chief Jeff Chavez on the phone with us. We appreciate it. We wish you well there. And again, reminding people to stay inside unless you absolutely positively have to be out, and certainly to avoid those potentially dangerous arroyos there. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate your time. Joe, I'll send it back over to you and Olga.
All right, thank you, Ron. Tornado warning in effect. What is it? It's 3:59, Olga, and this tornado warning is in effect until 4 o'clock. There's still a lot of rotation with this particular storm. The thing is, it's not constant rotation. It will pulse up and show you a rotating, what we're thinking is rotating. You see these little spinning symbols over here? That is could spawn a tornado. But folks, I tell you what, whether it spawns a tornado or not, this is a very dangerous storm. Look at the hail. The hail is now right over that 285 area. Let me clear that for you. There's 285. There's Klein's Corners. Let me put the hail core on again. I guess it's not over 285. It's approaching 285, if I'm having this done right. And so we're waiting to see what the National Weather Service does with this particular warning once the 4 o'clock hour kicks out. I wouldn't be surprised, Olga, if they just reissue a tornado warning. Especially, it'll give people attention to what's going on. But I tell you what, it's such a dangerous storm. Let's go ahead and query some of this hail size here. 1 inch, 1.5 inches. But, it has a history of doing this. 3+ inch hail. This is a very dangerous storm, and it pulses in intensity, so it gets a little bit of a formation, and you can see the intensity when you look at the radar reflectivity. See those bright shades going up and down? The thing about when they're bright like this, the winds are strong. When they're bright like this, it could be dangerous twisty winds in the cloud that could be coming down. Look at that dark shade right there. That is what we've been seeing with this storm. And when it works in an east, look at this. Okay, so what do we got now? They took down the tornado warning, but I imagine they're going to do something. They'll probably do, a severe thunderstorm warning?
Yeah, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Let's get some details on this one. 7 miles south of Klein's Corner, so Here it goes. The audible's coming through. It's still moving east at 10 miles per hour. Hail possibility there, ping pong size. We still have our 60 mile per hour
Okay,
goal,
there it
so
is.
this thing is holding.
Hey, so there's your good update right there. So a lot of takeaways here. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:30. To give you some perspective, we've been tracking this supercell that's been under a tornado warning since, what was it, 2:50?
2:20.
2:20 in the afternoon, yeah. And it's been just a fierce and very dangerous storm. So one thing that I take note of is the Weather Service went with another severe thunderstorm warning rather than keeping it as a tornado warning. Another thing that I noticed with this is notice when it was in a tornado warning, the polygon, this area here, encompassed areas along Interstate 40.